Welcome to Eggs and Issues, a monthly business program presented by the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce. Good morning, everyone. I'm Erin O'Valley of WMTW News 8. Eggs and Issues is supported by presenting sponsors Bank of America, Martins Point Healthcare, and WEX, in cooperation with IDEX Laboratories, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, and Oxford Networks. Also, television sponsor WMTW News 8, production support by Headlight Audiovisual. And now, please welcome the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce President, Bill Becker of Key Private Bank.
Well, good morning and welcome to Eggs and Issues. This is the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce's monthly business forum where we gather to discuss business issues of the day. And this is our first of two Eggs and Issues for October. We'll be back here next week for the gubernatorial debate. Let's all hope. My name is Bill Becker, Vice President at Key Private Bank and the volunteer president of the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce. Our speakers today are the University of Maine Chancellor James Page and USM President David Flanagan. They will discuss the challenges facing public higher education in Maine and the University of Southern Maine campus in Portland. The Regional Chamber Board has been getting involved, has been hearing from President Flanagan directly, as well as from Provost Joe McDonald through our advocacy committee. So we are very involved with this, and we're delighted to have both of our guests with us today. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge our new collaboration with Kemp Goldberg Partners. The Chamber has teamed up with Kemp Goldberg to have the firm provide communications and public relations counsel to the Regional Chamber and the community chambers. It's a great partnership. Working with them for a few months already has been a very big success, and we're looking forward to working with them to get the messaging of the business community out through multiple vehicles. I would like to offer a few words about our sponsors. Our program is made possible through the generous support of all of our sponsors, leaders in the greater Portland business community. Please hold your applause until I have mentioned all of them. Presenting sponsors, Bank of America, Martins Point Healthcare, and WEX. Cooperating sponsors, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, IDEX, and Oxford Networks. Reception sponsors, Clark Insurance, and Key Bank. So you remember last month I made a pitch to get a new parking sponsor. We want to take a moment to welcome our parking sponsor and the new member of the Chamber, Alan Signs with Impact. Now think of Alan Signs with Impact every time you use the Holiday Inn parking garage for Eggs and Issues. Matt Thornton, I know you're here. Would you please stand to be recognized, and we thank you for joining us as a new sponsor and a member. I'll try that again for some other event, some other sponsorship opportunity. Overall production support of Eggs and Issues is provided by Headlight Audiovisual, and our program is broadcast by our friends at Time Warner Cable's Digital Service Video on Demand. Our print sponsor is The Forecaster, e-media partner is Maine Biz, radio sponsor is WGAN, who interview our speakers and broadcast live right here every month. Our broadcast partner is WMTW TV. We also thank our special community partners, Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Northeast Delta Dental, and the Portland Press Herald, Maine Sunday Telegram, pressherald.com. Now please join me in thanking all of our sponsors for their generous support of Eggs and Issues. Our Tomorrow's Leaders and Entrepreneurs program allows area high school and Southern Maine Community College students and faculty to attend Eggs and Issues during the academic year. We'd like to thank our sponsors AAA Northern New England and Springborn Staffing for their support of this program. We have a number of students with us today from Cheverus, Portland, Cape Elizabeth, and Westbrook High Schools. We also welcome faculty from Southern Maine Community College. Would you all please stand and be recognized? Welcome. Baker Newman Noyes sponsors our Community Corner program, which allows area nonprofits to promote their organizations at Eggs and Issues. Our Community Corner partner this month is the American Heart Association. The AHA mission is simple: building healthier lives, free of cardiovascular diseases and stroke. Their mission drives everything they do. Currently, the American Heart Association is supporting 3 research grants in Maine, totaling $863,000. This life-saving research will make a difference in how we prevent and treat cardiovascular disease. With new funding, the AHA can continue critical research, which will decrease future generations' chances of being affected by cardiovascular disease and continue to treat those affected with better science. Please take the time to get your cholesterol and blood pressure checked, learn and understand the signs of a heart attack and stroke, call 911 immediately if you're seeing someone have a heart attack or stroke, and please learn hands-only CPR. If you want to learn more or get involved with their events, please contact the AHA office at 879-5700. You can write that down. With us today are Katie Rooks, Corporate Events Director, and Pauline Cormier. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you for coming. Now we want to take the time to recognize any new chamber members who are with us this morning. New members, would you please stand and be recognized? There's a list right here in front of you. Welcome. Copies of the complete list of our newest members are available at the registration area, or you can speak to chamber staff. Following the presentation, we will have a question and answer session. For this portion of the event, please use the microphone closest to your table to pose your question. Please introduce yourself and tell us the name of your company or organization. You can also tweet your questions using the hashtags #EggsAndIssues, as you see in front of you, and someone will ask the question on your behalf. Both of our speakers are eager to hear questions from the audience, so please don't be bashful. Now on to our speakers. Dr. James H. Page was appointed Chancellor of the University System in March of 2012 to lead their repositioning of the university system to meet Maine's 21st century higher education needs. Prior to becoming Chancellor, Dr. Page was a principal and CEO of the James W. Sewell Company, a national consulting organization founded in 1880 and headquartered in Old Town, Maine, specializing in forestry, natural resources, civil, and spatial engineering. Page is the first University of Maine system chancellor to be born in Maine or to have been educated at one of the system's universities. He was born and raised in Caribou and obtained his BA in history from the University of Maine at Fort Kent. Subsequently, he completed his master's work in the philosophy of physics from St. Andrews University in Scotland and obtained his PhD in the philosophical foundations of mathematics from MIT. Wow. He taught at several universities before joining the private sector and has served on a number of boards in the public, private, and NGO sectors. Chancellor Page lives in Old Town with his family. David Flanagan is a lifelong citizen of Maine and has had a remarkably diverse career of service in higher education, private business, government, and nonprofit organization leadership. He has specialized in handling complex problems, addressing difficult turnaround situations, and managing emergencies in all of these sectors. He served as a member and chairman of the University of Maine Systems Board of Trustees, leading it through a major recession while preserving and consolidating the advances recommended by the Strider-Muskie Commission. Until this appointment, he served as chairman of the Board of Visitors of the Muskie School of Public Service at USM from 2008 to 2014, where he chaired the External Review Committee on Restructuring in 2013. He was CEO of Central Maine Power and faced demanding challenges. Of significant note, David managed CMP at a time of deregulation, declining market share, and financial uncertainty. His leadership during this time and during the 1998 ice storm benefited the company and the state of Maine. David was educated at Bangor, Hamden, and Portland, Maine Public Schools, and received a BA from Harvard College, an MA from the University of London, England, King's College, and a law degree from Boston College Law School. He is a member of the bars of Maine, the U.S. District Court, and the U.S. Supreme Court. He currently resides in Manchester, Maine, with his wife, Kay, who is also active in the civic life of the state. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that David is one of our newest board members of the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce. Please welcome Chancellor Page and David Flanagan.
Well, good morning, everybody. The challenge here will be, as some of you can attest, to get both or either of David and I to contain our remarks to 10 minutes each, so we have plenty of time for Q&A. But I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to speak with you, even though, given these lights, I can't see one of you. One of the reasons why it's particularly important, this discussion here for me and for David and for the members of the Board of Directors and students and others who are here representing the university system, is the partnership that if the University of Maine system is going to be successful, the partnership that we must forge, develop, expand, create in some instances between the universities and the business community and the civic communities throughout the state, but nowhere more importantly than here in Portland. And by that I don't mean the tried and true methods of, gosh, could you contribute something to this campaign or that campaign. I'm talking about a genuine partnership and engagement by which we become your best partners, your greatest assets in helping you think through how the economic life of your business or this region of the state is going to develop. How do we get involved early? How do we help lead and understand that process? How do we contribute to the resources, the knowledge, the skill sets, et cetera, that are going to be needed by this region or any region in the state of Maine to succeed? And how do we follow through so that that is a virtuous, continual circle that goes on into the indefinite future? There are areas in that in which we have been very successful here and throughout the state, but that needs to become part of our DNA. And in doing that we need your engagement, your partnership, your ideas, your energy to help us move that forward. So if my presentation today contributes or catalyzes some of that discussion, then this is a morning well spent here. I would like to speak generally to some of the challenges we face as a system, to point do some quick finger pointing at some directions we're going to take to meet those, and then set up, I hope, David to come and speak more specifically to opportunities we have here at the University of Southern Maine. In terms of challenges, the incumbent business model for public higher education in Maine became outdated more than a decade ago. The trends in demographics and taxpayer support for higher education that helped build and sustain an expansive statewide public university system began to reverse, and in recent years have only accelerated. There is, moreover, an historical change underway in how education is being delivered. I'm going to try this now. It works, great. This demographic slide speaks to the 12% drop in Maine people between the ages of 15 and 19 in the current decade. That 12% drop is reflected right across the state and puts us right in as a major contributing factor to the fact that Maine is in a demographic winter, one of only 2 states in the country to do so, to find themselves in that condition. This next slide speaks to tuition and state appropriations as a percentage of our E&G, our basic expenditures. Over the past 25 years, state appropriation has gone from 25% of our education budget to just 41% today. Currently, the state appropriation for education at our universities is $6.2 million less than the appropriation we received in 2008. These outcomes, both in terms of the economics of the appropriations and demographics, and their attendant consequences are no surprise. One can cite study after study going back to the mid-1980s that warn of these challenges and that make recommendations which, if adopted, might arguably have avoided some of the present situation and conditions. Yet rather than face these facts as they presented and live within our means, the University of Maine system too often kicked the can down the road. During that same period of 25 years, we experienced the state of Maine, taxpayers, families, students experienced a 363% increase in the cost of in-state tuition. For the first time now, for the first time in Maine's history of public higher education, back to this. The $7,622 average annual tuition makes up more than 50% of the cost of educating that student. This puts us at or beyond what average Maine families can reasonably afford. Our failure to address the root causes of these challenges, especially in the areas of affordability and access, could not have come at a worse time. Tuition increases at public institutions have combined with disruptive innovations, especially in technology, to create fierce new competition in the higher education marketplace. Expanded private and for-profit institutions are proving to be attractive alternatives for many students, creating even more financial pressures on our universities. And the can kicking is at an end, blocked by economic, demographic, and competitive realities. Our multi-year financial analysis, and this is a little bit dated, we'll be updating it in November when we have current figures for closing off last year's fiscal books and also complete enrollment figures, projects a $69 million structural gap, not one time, structural gap. And it does a far better job than the folksy metaphors about cans of explaining why our Board of Trustees and university presidents are aligned and united in understanding that the model that has driven the university system for 45 years is broken and must be changed, must be transformed. So enough about problems. What are we going to do in terms of solutions? We have outstanding expertise and capacity across our 7 universities. And we must unlock this creative potential and find new ways to serve students in the state. And to reach these ends, first of all, we require leaders who are fully committed to Maine people, their needs, and opportunities. So in the last several months, I have asked proven Maine public servants to join our leadership team. Susan Hunter, the first woman to serve as president at UMaine and a 28-year veteran of that institution. David Flanagan here at USM, and most recently, former Maine House Speaker Glenn Cummings to lead the University of Maine at Augusta, are examples of tried, tested, and talented Maine leaders who understand and live our challenges. The optimism and resolve these leaders bring to the enterprise is inspiring and the basis of transformation. Education must always, or will always be first in our mission, but we must be second to none when it comes to research that drives economic development and to public service. One example that touches all 3 elements is USM's new cybersecurity lab, and I believe David's going to speak to that in a few minutes. But to address our challenges more comprehensively, this past summer, the Board of Trustees adopted a set of strategic outcomes, 23 in fact, to steer Maine's public universities to a new business model and a better, more sustainable future. The overall objective is to develop the best and most comprehensive statewide portfolio of programs and services that serve our students, businesses, and communities in a financially responsible and sustainable way. There are 23 of these outcomes listed, but 5 of them are really central to what we're doing. One has to do purely with the elimination of the structural gap that I alluded to earlier. We have to right-size our organization strategically, not just slicing off the top, but strategically so that we are financially sustainable within the means of what Maine can afford and which meets our mission-critical outcomes. In terms of what I'm going to talk about today, very briefly, are the 4 what we call the strategic integration ones, which speak to the organization at the highest level. Strategic integration target 1 points to the fact that we have 7 universities. They fulfill various different missions throughout the state. You've heard probably a lot of discussion around Southern Maine's metropolitan focus, which I think is going to be a game changer, not only for the University of Southern Maine, but for this entire region. And each of the campuses needs responsibly to find and articulate and focus on its niche within that general framework. Not everybody can be all things to all people. We are not in a situation where that is affordable or realistic. But together, do we unite the 7 campuses, the 7 institutions, and all the support mechanisms in a way where we have focused on how each contributes to success, integrated those, and so that we have the full range of portfolio of services available to people throughout the state, no matter where they may be. The second target is to develop and implement a comprehensive financial management structure for the entire system that enhances transparency, enables appropriate fiscal control, and advances comprehensive intra-system collaboration. You would think that an organization of our size would have accomplished this outcome a long, long time ago. and I'm somewhat a bit abashed to say that that is not the case. We have not had, because of the kind of federated model that has existed throughout the system, the Board of Trustees have not had the kind of oversight and appropriate fiscal management tools and structures that they need to carry out their responsibilities in a way that really allows us, first, to meet our outcomes, and second, to do it in a financially responsible way. Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration Rebecca Wyke has presented a management plan that would unify the budget processes across all the campuses, providing the Board of Trustees and the presidents with the information and tools they need to properly manage our institutional resources. And I need to be clear, creating a more efficient financial structure is not about limiting the ability of our campus leaders to serve their institutions. Establishing a unified budget across our system will open the door to cross-university collaboration. We will finally be able to stop competing against ourselves and operate as a network of unique but aligned universities. Our third target is to develop a comprehensive administrative plan that reduces total administrative costs, including academic administration per student full-time equivalent to peer system benchmarks or below. We have I've had allergies and they're showing up. We cannot afford the administrative structure of 7 quasi-independent universities in a system office. We cannot afford the administrative structure of an academic support system which multiplies deans, associate deans, et cetera, et cetera. So how do we work across the system, align, move to the back, move to a common back room, those things that are appropriate there with IT and HR? How do we make sure that we are resourced to meet our mission but are not duplicative administratively across the system? We've started that project in terms of our administrative reviews a couple of years ago. We've made good strides, but we have a long ways to go in this, and there's a lot of room for progress. And our fourth target is to develop a model of academic program and portfolios that integrates and leverages our academic resources across the system. Technology now puts our best programs and our best professors within the reach of every Maine learner. How much stronger and more vibrant can our educational programs be when students from USM can access the very best professors and programs from across the system and, in return, offer learners from the rest of Maine access to USM's best professors, program, and services. Other times, in other venues, I've spoken of a one-door opens all vision for the university system. A student from Portland or Madawaska should be able to walk into any university facility and have immediate access to Maine's best programs, as well as a suite of advising services and policies, such as comprehensive credit transfer, that best advances her goals and options. And likewise, a business owner with a research request or a need for an intern or a future need for a set of employees with particular skills should be able to make one call and be connected immediately to the person or office anywhere in the state who can best advance their business's opportunities. Now, some have argued that Maine's universities must maintain their current size and scale despite the enrollment and economic realities of the time. They use terms like corporatization or centralization to describe our efforts when, in truth, our objectives are quite the opposite. Our reform efforts will maintain the uniqueness of each of our campuses while aligning functions and practices so that we have the resources to support excellence and differentiation at tuition levels Maine people can afford. And this is the path to excellence and value in public education. Excuse me. I have gone over my time. I've got a couple of pages left here, but I think it's extremely important that you now have the opportunity to hear from President Flanagan. So I'm going to pass directly on to that. Thank you for your attention and look forward to the opportunity to answer questions when it comes. David's going to be interrupted by this slide, which is a request for a yes vote on 2. So there's more on that coming, but I won't take up more time now. Thank you.
You can see we work pretty well as a team. I want to start off by thanking Bill Becker, Chris Hall, and the Portland Regional Chamber for their initiative in inviting us here today and for their continued interest in USM and its future. The importance of your involvement to our success cannot be overstated. I'd also like to recognize some USM students, leaders who are able to join us today. They're great ambassadors and great examples of how important the school is. If you could stand when I introduce you, these are student representatives to the Board of Trustees and leaders in student government. Alex Greenlee, Paul Nelson, Rebecca Tanis, Francis Flisiuk from the newspaper, got to be nice to him, Katie Zema, and Cassandra Sherman. Cassandra's the leader of our ice hockey team, and don't mess with her. Let me now turn to the business of today. It has been said that no city can be truly great without a great university. Right now, Portland has a tremendous potential and is enjoying an exciting spurt of growth, as you heard at the last Eggs and Issues. But it cannot achieve its full potential without a robust, sustainable public university. This dynamic region needs a high-quality, accessible set of colleges to address its greatest Achilles heel, the growing shortage of skilled labor to replace our aging workforce, me, for example. A key factor of which our own leading economist, Professor Charlie Colgan, reports is the greatest constraint on our future prosperity and the growth of Maine's economy. The fundamental role of a public university in society remains constant: to create knowledge, to share knowledge, and to apply knowledge. In just this past week, we have seen two excellent examples of this at USM. First, the national CBS Evening News featured the work of Professor Glenn Wilson in cybersecurity. USM is taking a place in the forefront of the fight against hacking and cyber theft. If you want to see this program in action, I would encourage you to attend the Maine Small Business Cybersecurity Conference on October 17th on our Portland campus. Second, this past Saturday, we welcomed back Dr. Michael Collins, a USM alum, to our Gorham campus. Dr. Collins, who now works at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, advises Major League Baseball, the NFL, and the NHL in leading the way to develop new methods of dealing with concussions among athletes, military personnel, and other victims on a national and international level. We are very proud of Professor Wilson and Dr. Collins, and they are both very proud of USM. These recent events illustrate that day in and day out, an advancing society needs a vigorous, engaged, and practical university. And for our community here in Southern Maine, USM is that university. And I'm here to tell you this morning that USM is here to stay. But you know, too, that to do so, we must overcome some tremendous challenges, like how to operate this thing. The Chancellor showed you a slide on the overall financial situation in the system. Here at USM, we have the most immediate, most challenging problem. We must vanquish a $16 million structural deficit. We must adopt new business models because the old one just does not work to achieve financial sustainability. And we must adopt new ways of efficiently delivering our product, which is knowledge. Not whether, but how we accomplish all of this in just a very short time is the challenge we must meet. As a first order of business, we can and we must balance our budget. It is a daunting challenge because the deficit is more than 12% of our budget and because 70% of our costs are labor. But we will do it by reducing administration, consolidating services, foregoing capital projects, and downsizing our faculty and staff to match the needs of a 6,000 student cohort rather than the 8,500 we used to enroll. This is painful work, but we have already accomplished much of the analysis necessary, and we will be going through the processes mandated by our labor contracts and our governance documents in the weeks ahead to implement a new cost structure. Cutting is hard work, but we will do it not because we relish it, but because we must. And surely, we hope the hardship will be mitigated if the 100 faculty and 100 staff who are right now eligible for retirement on an enhanced basis take that opportunity. But it's a truism to say that cutting alone is no answer for an enterprise in trouble. We must find and adopt a new, workable, sustainable business model. And fortunately, we believe one is at hand. The new model is to become Maine's metropolitan university. Thanks to the work of Professor Dick Barringer and a diverse committee, we now have this on the horizon. But what does metropolitan university mean exactly? Above all, it means concentrating our resources in fewer areas, but doing those exceptionally well. Areas where we already have outstanding programs like music, business, science, technology, and engineering, and the health professions like nursing, occupational therapy, and public health. Also, in areas that meet the needs of our students and our communities for jobs that will contribute to the economic development of the region and the social services it provides. And areas where the region is experiencing growth and is in need of new practitioners, scholars, and workers, so well illustrated by our pioneering efforts in cybersecurity. To become Maine's metropolitan university, we have to do the following. First is to sharpen our distinctive value proposition for our students and the communities we serve. Second, we have to improve and enhance our offerings, everything from curriculum, faculty, student services, facilities, and technology. And third, we have to serve our community through public service, job training, cultural activities, and other partnerships beyond the walls of academia. That is the mission of a public metropolitan university. It is a mission we can achieve through adopting a value proposition founded on affordability, accessibility, and agility. Let me explain. USM, as the Chancellor said, is still a good bargain for Maine students, with a tuition of some $7,600 and dorms available at Gorham for $9,000. We still cost less than most of our competitors. Perhaps you know of students who've gone out of state as freshmen to enticing colleges, but came back after the first year as the reality of $40,000 plus tuition bills hit home, or hit their parents' homes. As a public university in our region, we take seriously our responsibility for serving as a university of opportunity for all at the lowest possible cost. So again, affordability means offering a realistic portfolio of majors and courses in the humanities, social sciences, and STEM disciplines, taught by a balanced teaching faculty of tenured, part-time, and adjunct staff, in competitively sized classes, and by more online and blended modalities. Likewise, we are working to control administrative costs, which are complicated by the fact we have 3 separate campuses, by consolidating overlapping functions, shifting back office work to the system, as the Chancellor mentioned, and eliminating positions where we can. Again, the purpose of finding efficiencies is to fulfill our mission as the most affordable university we can be. But still, affordability alone is not enough. I don't want to get too technical here, but we need reforms like recognizing more transfer credits towards majors, setting credit hour requirements at reasonable levels, centralizing scheduling to minimize overlaps, bottlenecks, and inconvenience in traveling between campuses so students can graduate on time. These accessibility issues may seem arcane, but I assure you they are very important to retention and graduation, and we are working on all of these as well. Finally, and perhaps most elusively, USM is working on becoming more agile, more student responsive, and more entrepreneurial. We need to be more agile in recruiting veterans, mid-career adults, new immigrants, community college grads, and out-of-state and even international students. Not just to fill classes, but hopefully so they will stay after graduation and help build a more prosperous Maine. Likewise, we can be more agile in the design of our curriculum, such as meeting small business needs for professionals with both law and business credentials, and in developing certificate programs for working students, just for example. Well, there's a lot to cover, many issues to address in creating a metropolitan university. But let me close with one last issue immediately relevant to you. We need to create a robust, systematic approach to developing and maintaining internships and work-study experiences for our students. These are great learning opportunities for them and a chance for you to introduce students to potential career paths in your firms. If you have any interest, please contact our Office of Engaged Learning. Their info is on your tables, and join companies like Unum, Texas Instruments, and IDEX in taking advantage of this opportunity. So just to sum up, I want to assure you that while we proceed with all this necessary change, our traditional humanities and social science concentrations will still be there, hopefully in a more economic and efficient portfolio. And we will continue to support the vital STEM courses which are necessary to our economy. Our commitment will remain to produce graduates who can think critically and communicate clearly, as I'm trying to do this morning. Transforming USM will take the combined efforts of our staff and faculty, our students and alumni, but also you as the leaders of the civic and business life of Greater Portland. We are building on a plan, but to succeed, we will need your help as corporate partners, as intern generators, as advocates for restoring our funding in Augusta, and as contributors to our scholarship foundation to make quality education available and affordable for as many students as possible. I ask you to invest in USM. It will be among the most rewarding and enduring actions you can take anywhere this year. Thank you very much.
I'm not sure exactly how this is to work, but we're ready for questions wherever you may have them.
Over here.
Sir.
Ed Soslovic, Portland City Councilor. Love what you guys are talking about, long overdue. The idea of a metropolitan university, very exciting. a question. I just returned from the Pioneer Valley out in western Massachusetts, where you've got UMass Amherst and 4 smaller schools all linked together, 5 college exchange. Students can take classes at any one of the 5 institutions, all linked by a public transit service which connects them with employment opportunities as well. Any thought, is that something in the future for Greater Portland in terms of USM and some of the other private institutions of learning, to see if we can open that up as well as improve the transit connection? Thank you.
Ed, as I mentioned earlier, Portland is greatly benefited by having a cadre of colleges of different types here, and I think that this location has the opportunity to attract students from all over the country. Portland's a dynamic place. It's on the coast. It's beautiful. It's got great food. It's got everything going for it. And I think that we've already started cooperating among all of us. We meet regularly, and I'm hopeful that we will be able to forge partnerships with the different schools to achieve something like they have out in western Massachusetts.
Hi, Sarah Joy, Bonnie Staffing Center. As a proud graduate of the University of Maine who went away and came back, and now I'm in the recruiting industry where I'm also trying to get people back here. There's some challenges, let's be frank about it, and there are a group of people who are starting their families, raising families away, that could be raising their families here and putting students into our university systems. How do we, as business owners and business professionals, partner with you at the university and with our municipalities and our state government, rather, to get those people back here, whether it be through tuition programs for businesses, much like the teacher program. Teachers who are educated at the University of Maine and teach here have their loans forgiven. There could be some sort of program down the road to get those business leaders here to make sure that we have a robust business community and that you have a robust set of people. Do you have any other thoughts around how we may make that work, or is there anything in play currently to get folks back here?
I'll let David speak specifically to the area. I think you're exactly right. What we require, and having been a business owner myself, the challenge of attracting talent into the state of Maine is generic across the state, in part because there's not a critical mass. We attempted to hire people who liked our offer but said, we like this, but if things don't work out 6 months from now, we're not going to uproot our families a second time. So how do the businesses partner and align in very specific ways with university opportunities to create those areas of critical mass where we can work together, so that people moving in see the whole picture of what we offer, not just this business or that educational program, but that taken as a whole, the community and the educational systems reinforce one another and work closely with one another in order to build that human resource infrastructure, which Maine desperately needs. I'm in agreement.
Yeah, that's a very complex question, as you know, and there are lots of ways that we should be involved. We have a leader in economic development in Professor Colgan, and the business school and Muskie need to be even more deeply involved. Our research capability at Cutler at the Cutler Research Institute is another way. We also talk with the Maine Department of Labor about what they foresee as sectors of need for specific skills in the future. And we're going to try to do more to get courses oriented to that. But also, it's a two-way street, and I invite you to join our corporate partners programs and come over once a month to the university for a breakfast where we talk about just these very issues.
Thank you.
Good morning. Tony Payne from Clark Insurance, and also a member of the Board of Visitors for USM. Question actually for both of you is that we're fixated on what our demographics look like 19 to 25 roughly. But as I understand it, in the greater Portland area, in the USM service market, there are some 200,000 individuals who have some college, but they don't hold a degree. To me, for a demographically challenged state, that seems to be a pretty interesting and wonderful opportunity for student enrollment. So the question for you is, and I guess for all the members here today, what do we need to do to illustrate the value of attaining a degree? And secondly is, how do we make this region and the rest of the state and every campus, Chancellor, into a learning community so that we, in fact, get all ships to rise with the tide?
Tony, thank you. The number is about right. The Maine Development Foundation developed this research that throughout the state, not just in the greater Portland region, there are about somewhere in excess of 200,000 individuals who have some amount of post-secondary education but did not complete their degree or their license or whatever it may be. That is an enormous stranded investment, first of all in dollars, running into the hundreds of millions, but also a stranded investment in human opportunity. And the trustees have recognized this and been responsive to this. Back in in January, they passed a resolution expanding the definition of our core student population to include adult and non-traditional learners. We have identified and allocated several $1 million towards scholarships directed towards adults coming back. Because the simple economic fact is this: if we accept the federal government's numbers, that to move the economic needle, 60% of the adult population should have a post-secondary degree, whether it's a 2-year or a 4-year degree, and the target to set that is 2025. The state of Maine cannot achieve that without engaging adult learners. If we took every one of the kids now in K-12, every one of them, and got 100% of them a 2-year or a 4-year degree, we would get halfway to the federal target. If we don't engage these adult populations and these people who have started in but have not been successful in finishing, we will not be successful economically in moving our needle statewide. That said, we're putting a lot of programs in place to do that. This new scholarship is now in play for even this semester. It's underway, and there will be a lot more about that. But you've put your finger on a critical target and a critical opportunity for us.
Yeah, I'd just add, Tony, that we did a little telethon at the beginning of the school year to try to see if we could get back some of the people who hadn't registered yet. And while some people said, "Oh, is it that time of year again?" Most of the bulk of the people who weren't coming back, it was for financial reasons. That's why I think we have not only a business but a moral obligation to try to keep our costs as low as possible and the place as affordable as possible. But we also need to ask you to invest in USM, to help provide those internships and scholarships where a few $100s can make all the difference to somebody coming back and finishing and becoming a truly productive member of our society here in Southern Maine. So thanks for the question, and please contribute generously.
Peter Plum from Murray, Plum & Murray here in Portland. One of the issues we read about a lot is the question of deferred maintenance, which spreads all across the university system. We are a state of 1.3 million people with 7 university campuses and a like number of community college campuses. And we are told that the deferred maintenance issues run into the hundreds of millions of dollars. We also are told that this potentially is a millstone that will drag down the university system over time. I'd appreciate your comments on that.
The deferred maintenance charge, the last figures I saw, so they're a few months out of date, were about $480 million. If we brought everything up to SNAP, it would be in excess of $1 billion. This is a gap that will never be closed in our system. We have a group looking for the first time at a strategic long-term facilities plan, but we have over 9 million square feet in a time and in a marketplace which no longer needs and sustains that. So we have to downside our physical plant as well. Our move to close the central system office in Bangor is an example of that, but it's only one piece of a much larger project that has to be undertaken. Those facilities which we must have, whether they're nursing training classrooms or chemical laboratories, have to be state-of-the-art. But beyond that, we just as we talked about identifying mission-critical programs. We have to support in a first-class way the facilities that support those programs, and the rest we have to begin to shed and to be realistic about what we can afford.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Michelle LeBlanc from Kemp Goldberg Partners, and I have a question from our Eggs and Issues hashtag on Twitter. Francis asks, do you think that the average student knows what it means to be part of a metro university? Why is it important that they do?
This is an evolving concept. The committee report just came out at the end of August. We're working with it now, and I think it'll be the project of the whole year to explain it and to develop it in concert with students and other constituencies at the university. So I think that it's a project underway. As to its importance and the importance of people understanding it, I think we do have to adjust our expectations to the realities of our resources and to understand the need to concentrate in a few areas of expertise rather than trying, as unfortunately USM did in the past, to be all things to all people. We just can't do it. It's a broken business model. We need to change, and everyone involved needs to understand and adapt to that.
We have time for one last question.
From the Delphi Group. I'm thrilled to hear about the bold vision and the comprehensive strategy. I think they're extremely essential to moving forward. Another essential piece to moving forward to be able to execute the strategy is probably a great deal of support from your internal stakeholders. I don't want to overstate the case, but unfortunately what we hear an awful lot about is the mistrust and divisiveness and lack of alignment among faculty and administrative staff and so forth. And I'm wondering what the plan is for addressing that.
When the Chancellor and the trustees asked me to assume this responsibility, they made 2 points. One was balance the budget right away, and the second was to communicate clearly with everyone involved. I take that very seriously as a responsibility, and we're doing our best to let everyone know about what the realities of our situation are and that we've got a practical plan for dealing with them. Not everybody's going to like it, of course, naturally, especially in a diverse university with many constituencies and many interests. But I didn't come out of retirement just to be a caretaker and watch this thing continue to decay and erode into the sand. I'm here as a change agent to try to make this university relevant for this century in this place with the right kinds of courses, teachers, and resources. And that's going to require change, and we'll communicate that as best we can to whoever is interested in listening. And I've invited every constituency that I know of to come and meet with me, visit with me, and to talk with our senior core leadership group as we try to forge together a workable, practical future for this indispensable university.
I would add to that only that change, many of you here, business leaders, you're familiar with change initiatives. Change is hard. Change is often painful. Here we have a situation where we can lead that change for the constructive benefit of our students and the state, or change will be imposed on us in ways that will be entirely destructive. And if we don't change, that latter course is what will happen simply by virtue of the economic realities of the times. So we recognize and are aware of the controversies that surround change, of the difficulties that are to implement it, but here we have a clear choice. We can lead change for the benefit of our students in the state, or we can have change lead us for the detriment of the same.
Don't jump off.
Age before beauty.
Yeah, right, that's it.
Thank you, Chancellor Page and President Flanagan, for joining us on this important topic this morning. These are both difficult and opportunistic times for both the University of Maine system and for the University of Southern Maine. But please know that the business community stands ready to help and be with you. We've given us some opportunities with the corporate partners, the internships, and someone asked for money. So, as a thank you for speaking with us today, we will be making a donation in your honor to the American Heart Association. Some final announcements as we wrap up. You can stay up to date on everything related to the Chamber by connecting via Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Stay tuned to the Chamber's website for video of this morning's Eggs and Issues. And as always, the pictures taken here this morning will be available for viewing on the Chamber's Facebook page and on their website. We hope to see you and all 3 gubernatorial candidates next Wednesday. We'll have 3 chairs for our gubernatorial debate. Register online today, as it will be a highly attended event. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great day.